So in October, I saw with all the rain that there was a wet spot in the middle of my living room. I texted him that night.
He says he'll come on Monday.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And never shows. He does not show and does not get it fixed until February.
Okay, what happened? She calls you, I see that she texts you. And what happened that you didn't go fix it that Monday, which would have been Friday, 22, 23, 24, October 24?
Yeah, Your Honor, we were slammed. That storm did a lot of damage to our properties. I have more than 11 properties. I have a crew of 4 maintenance men, and we were hit with a lot of issues. Leaks, broken roofs, along with the usual...
When was the storm? Do you remember?
Sorry?
When was the storm?
In October. That date was the 25th?
I think it was up until the 21st. So it was like right as the storm was ending that I texted.
Okay, but a crack in the ceiling could be a, it could be a problem with the roof. It could cause a lot of damage.
Yes.
So I would have... When did you go see it?
Well, that's the problem. We reached out to her, and Angela was not cooperative. She wasn't flexible in terms of scheduling. See, we have to work with our tenants to schedule the proper time to give us entrance. And
so she had texted you, great, I work at home Mondays and Fridays. I'll be able to sit with my dog while you come in because of my dog. I don't want anyone in the apartment while I'm not there. And you say, okay. So you worked with your tenant. You had a date. What happened on that Monday? Well, when you say we're slammed, she's the one you made an appointment with. So I don't know
we made an appointment with a lot of our tenants. It was extremely busy.
Well, why'd you go around making a million appointments you couldn't keep?
Well, it wasn't a matter of not keeping. It was a matter of scheduling and balancing our schedule and our workload.
All right, so what happened on that Monday, Ms. Richards?
I was working from home. I was waiting all day. Me and my dog were there. No one showed.
Did you ever text him and say, are you coming? What's going on?
I did not.
Okay.
So
did you call him? Did you talk to each other?
I did not until a couple days later. I texted and saying, hey.
I was here all day Monday. You guys didn't come. And let me ask you a question. If you make an appointment with a tenant and you're not going to show up, why wouldn't you have called the tenant and told them so they didn't wait?
It was due to our volume, the fact that we were so busy.
Listen, this is so simple. Pick up the phone, call her, or text her. Take 5 seconds to text her and say, we're not going to make it. We're slammed. We're not going to make it. What other day this week can we go?
Exactly.
So why didn't you just go on Friday? Friday's the day where she's there all day. Why didn't you schedule her for Friday?
I did. I texted her for Friday.
Okay, let me see that. Sorry we couldn't come on Monday. We have been slammed. Can we come Friday? And then you say, even though tomorrow is Friday, I have to go into the office, which is unusual because normally you work out of your home on Friday.
Yes. So
he asks, can we come while you're not there? Would you be able to put the dog up? No, exclamation point. I wouldn't want him to be in his pen all day. Can you all come next week? What's the answer to that?
He never answered that. That was the thing, is this went on for months and months and months.
No, I need to know what went on for the months and months. So after this happens, what's the next plan? Because she can't do that Friday. So now we've wasted a week with a crack in the ceiling. And so what's the next plan, folks?
Well, we've reached out and she didn't respond back. But we got to set a time. And we reached out to her and she didn't respond back.
Right, but if you reach out to her in October and November, and she's not responding back, at some point it becomes an emergency on your end to make sure that things... How is it? I don't get how this happens. What did you two do November, December, January? What happened? Who's saying what to who?
So I will admit I did not reach out probably as much as I should have. By January, I started reaching out constantly, and then January 25th, when it fell into my living room, is when...
When is it that you people think this is urgent? I'm just like...
I understand.
I understand, but it's your property. If you've already had several complaints about there's a crack in it, why won't you... You know what? Let me go by and look at it. At a minimum, that. And just assess what the issue is to figure out when you can schedule. I mean, why didn't you do that?
You know... I have a lot of properties and a lot of tenants.
If you say that one more time, I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay, because this is one of those properties.
But this was a higher...
You're getting rent, and she is telling you that there's a problem.
This is so irresponsible on the landlord's side. She informed him of the problem right away, even before it became a huge deal. And instead of jumping on it right away and fixing and addressing, or at least assessing the problem, he keeps postponing it. And the first time they scheduled, he's a no-show. Then she had to go to the office and wasn't able to be at the place for him to come. And then it just goes to silence. As a landlord, you have investment to protect. This is your livelihood that you should protect at all costs. Any leak is a big problem that can snowball into even a bigger problem within days or weeks. So this is a matter of priority that the landlord should have addressed immediately. On the other hand, if he was so eager to get into the property to assess, he could have given her 24 or 48-hour notice, depending on the state, and enter without her permission or her being there. This is just as long as she is aware that this is what is happening, because if it's a matter of emergency and something needs to be done, sorry, it's not about being polite, about respecting your boundaries. This is about an issue that can grow into a big problem. Let's go back into the courtroom.
That's, I'm not saying why didn't you get there in 4 days? I'm saying, how could you not get there in 4 months? And
Yes.
what did you do when you say, oh, I relaxed, I didn't care? Like, at some point, you got to be worried, hey, this thing might cave in. Do you understand what causes a crack? Do you folks understand
Yes.
what causes a crack, sir?
Well, in this case, it could be water, moisture.
That's right, which means that there's a problem, either with a faucet that's a pipe that's leaking or a roof that's been damaged, okay? So there's gonna be a problem. When do you reach out to him again?
I reached out about every 2 weeks, and then finally...
Do you have those texts?
I do not, but I do have my text from January 25th when it did cave in, and I have the pictures of that as well.
What, do you have the text of every 2 weeks?
No, I do not.
Is she reaching out to you every 2 weeks?
Well, I don't remember getting those types of
And why,
outreaches
if you
'cause I
have the
live-
text before and the text after, do you not have these texts you're talking about every 2 week texts? Why don't you have that?
I apologize. I brought all of what my medical bills were, and...
Okay, I'm talking about your medical bills right now.
Yeah, I did not
Right, so
compare.
what ends up happening?
So it ends up fully falling into my living room on my couch and stuff. So me and the dog left the location. They did come and look at it finally, and then the
What do
couple
you mean
days
left the location?
left the apartment. So
And did what? Slept somewhere
we
else
went to
or
a
what?
hotel.
Just a minute.
We paid for her
I'm not
hotel.
talking to you. What do you mean when you say left the location?
So I did call him at that point, and he did pay for a hotel for the weekend.
Did you ever call him between October and that point?
I'm sure I did, but I don't have any proof of that with me.
Okay, so now a problem that could have been a, hour, 2 hour problem is now a hotel stay that you paid for and a repair. And how do you have pictures of that? Because you went in to look at it while they were doing it?
No, this isn't the repair. This is it falling. So that's when I left. So I took pictures when his guys got there and took pictures as I was leaving with my dog.
Hold on one second. Is that how your roof looked, or you had, or is this when they ripped stuff out?
That's how it looked after it fell. This was how it looked in the beginning. So this is the picture that I sent him in October.
Okay, but so the darkness that I see here, that's not how it looked before January 25th. It's when chunks started falling off that it looked like that.
Yeah, so it's like I came home from work and it looked
Did you
like
ever
that.
send him this picture?
Yes, that was sent on October 21st, the first text
All
message.
right. Now, you had some medical issues.
Yes.
One thing I don't understand is that judge is asking her for proof of phone calls and texts between her and the landlord, her following up with him, as she said, every 2 weeks to remind him of the issue and him not responding according to her. And she keeps saying that she doesn't have any proof. Well, do you have your phone on you? And judging by your age, I'm sure you live in your phone. So just present your phone, let the judge scroll through your text to make sure your story actually adds up to what you're saying. On the other hand, black mold is a big issue that can create horrible health issues later on. And from what I remember reading about it, as long as it stays wet, it's okay. But the moment it becomes dry and airborne and gets into air and into your body, this is when the problems start. Let's go back into the courtroom.
So I started having what I thought were allergies at the time and was really struggling with a bunch of sinus issues, ended up with an ENT multiple times. I think I went in November, December, and then I went back in February. And in February, when I was talking with the doctor, I mentioned what had happened in my apartment, and he very quickly said, that's the issue that we're having.
Let me see the doctor saying that in writing, because I can't just hear you say that. I examined Ms. Richard 3 times between November and February. chronic respiratory and sinus infection. I did not test for mold as my differential diagnosis worked through other diseases before Ms. Richards' symptoms subsided. I concluded that seasonal allergies was the most likely culprit. However, given her lack of improvement on the prescribed allergy medications and the discovery of mold in her apartment, I consider an allergic reaction to the presence of mold a reasonable explanation for her symptoms. How do we know that there was, well, I mean, it looks like there was mold. Was there mold?
Yes, I had it tested when I left.
Oh my God, you paid to have it tested?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
but you didn't pay to have it.
It became a very big issue very
yes,
quickly.
Doesn't anybody see the writing on the wall that a crack in the ceiling is a big issue that we need to address right now?
Now.
I mean, she's not a homeowner. I own 1,000 properties. You're the guy who's supposed to know this. Aye. How do you come up with the $1,500?
The 3 doctor visits.
Were you actually out that money?
Yes.
Can I see it?
So those are all 3 of them. And I was going to the doctor.
You're going to need to show me some evidence of the effort that you made. I see that you made one effort, which is, hey, can we go by on Friday? No, this Friday I'm working. The other effort you made was, we'll be there Monday, and then you didn't show up. That's a negative effort. What else can you show me as evidence of your desire, will, and attempts to fix this?
Well, I did reach out to my team and ask them to go by, and I never got a report. I never got anything from the team.
Okay, I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff. I think it's pretty likely, and all I have to find is that it's more likely than not. This is not a criminal case. I don't have to find that beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt it was caused by the mold, but I know it wasn't helped by the mold. I know it wasn't helped, and you have evidence that you had to go to a doctor over and over and over again. Had that happen to you every year?
Nope.
That's probably not seasonal allergies. All right, verdict for the plaintiff, $1,500.
Great judgment from Judge Millian again. And of course, she is entitled to get all that money that she spent on doctor visits. And for landlord, it's absolutely unforgivable not to address an issue, not 4 days, not even weeks, 4 months, knowing that there is a leak. I have no idea what was going on through his head and how he thought it was going to get magically resolved, but obviously that's not going to happen. And something that he could have easily fixed maybe within an hour or 2 with minimum investment, now is going to cost him a big chunk of money, plus her hotel cost, plus her medical bills. What did you guys think about this case? Have you ever had an experience with a negligent landlord? Please put it in the comments below, and thank you for watching.